Hi, welcome to How to Repair. I'm stuck in the workshop this weekend dealing with customers' emails and the problem they've got. And when I get a common fault like this Beko cooker, I'll actually make a video to assist everyone with regards to this problem. Now, this gentleman has got a Beko BBAIF22300X Beko single oven, and it's not heating. And I've put a web page together for him with regards to the technical manual, wiring diagram, and any other information he needs to repair the cooker. Now, we are lucky that we've got a Beko oven here, which is on the workbench. And I thought I'd quickly go through the most common problems that can occur when an oven is not heating. And I won't just deal with the fan oven element in this video. I will deal with all three elements that are predominantly in all Beko cookers. Now, inside the oven, we basically have a grill element at the top, and this will either be a single circuit or a dual circuit element. We also have a fan oven element which lives behind the fan guard at the back. This is normally between 1800 watts and 2300 watts, depending on the actual model of your cooker. And then we have the hidden element, which is actually called a base element. This element lives in the bottom of the cooker. Now, in this video, I'm quickly going to show you how to go about diagnosing the fault, testing for a problem with one of the elements, and also quickly showing you how to rectify the problem. Now, first, let me just quickly discuss the problems that can occur with your oven. Okay, first, let's deal with what tools you're going to need to understand how to rectify the problem. Firstly, you will need a multimeter, and you don't need an expensive one. It just needs to be able to read 240 volts, continuity, and it would also assist you if you have an ohms reading on the meter as well. Now, I also use test meters. Now, these test meters can either be fixed units, which I have into my workshop here, or you can acquire the portable version, which I will put a link in the description. These portable versions are very cheap and they only cost approximately £10 to buy, and they are so useful at diagnosing problems on cookers. And let me give you the example of that. If we turn the oven on to the dual element setting, this means it's going to use the base element and also part of the grill element. We would expect to see, if it was all working correctly, in the region of 2 to 2300 watts. If it was not working correctly and only one element was working efficiently, then you would have a much lower wattage. And if I turn the thermostat on, you can actually see on the meter here that we are drawing 2300 watts of power. That is approximately 1100 watts on the base element, another 1100 watts on the grill element, and the fan motor may be consuming between 50 and 100 watts, giving us a total of approximately 2300 watts of power. So they are very useful at diagnosing problems with the cooker. Now, when it comes to the actual common problems that occur on these cookers, the first one, and which is very common, if you have electricity power cut and you've reset the actual power to the house, or the electricity board has reconnected the supply, the cooker has gone off for a period of time. This means it goes back to the factory default setting. This means you need to set the timer to manual for the oven to work. So many people assume that their oven's not working when it's a simple thing like the timer not being reset. Now, when it comes to the oven not heating, there are many different types of faults that can occur. You could have a faulty element. The most common is the fan oven becomes open circuit, or you have an element which is tripping the electricity supply. And when I say tripping the electricity supply, I'm talking about you turn the oven on to the fan oven setting, you turn the thermostat on to the required temperature, it either immediately trips the electricity supply, or on some occasions it may trip the electricity supply after 2-3 minutes of running. This means that the leakage of electricity going to earth has exceeded the capability of the RCD unit in your consumer board, and this is there to protect you from any electric shocks from the appliance. All that being said, just understanding the common faults is quite easy. If you are using the oven and you do not have a fan oven setting and it uses two elements, the grill element in conjunction with the base element, and the cooker is not reaching temperature, This means that one of the elements may have become faulty and is not heating, and the other element is working overtime, shall we say, trying to maintain the temperature, but you're not able to reach high temperatures. Other faults that occur is the oven may be burning the food on the top, but not cooking on the underside. That means the base element has become faulty. If it's doing it the other way round, that could be because the grill element has become faulty. You may also have the fan element is in good condition, but the food is not cooking evenly throughout the cooker. And this means that your fan motor may not be distributing the air around the cooker inside the oven. Okay, now we've gone through the basic diagnostics of the cooker. Let's disconnect it from the electricity supply, take the back of the cooker off. This will vary from cooker to cooker. Some you have to take the top off, and other cookers you are able just to take the back panel off. This panel actually hinges. Okay, when it comes to testing elements, the first thing you need to be aware of, if you remove any wiring from the cooker, do take a photograph, because it will help you no end getting the wires back onto their correct connection. I'm just testing the base element at the moment, and firstly I'll just do a basic continuity test on the element. And as you can hear, we have a circuit and a reading. But if you wanted to know the wattage of the element, you can use Ohm's law calculator. This allows you to put 3 or 2 numbers in, and it will automatically calculate the third number. In other words, you have voltage, you have Ohm's reading, and if you have those 2 numbers, it would give you the wattage of the element. This means we know the element is a 240 volt element, and we have an Ohm's reading of 53.3. Using Ohm's law calculator, you would be able to establish that this element was 1100 watts. Now, if we move on to the fan oven element and do the same here, we know this element is an 1800 watt element, and doing an Ohm's reading on this element, you are able to establish that you have 33.6. This means that the element has got a rough value of 1800 watts. Now, when it comes to actually checking the grill element, do be aware if you want to do an Ohm's reading, you are going to have to take one wire off each of the circuits, because the neutral wire loops onto these and you would get a false reading. So doing a reading on the outer circuit, we have 59 ohms, which is approximately 1100 watts. And then doing the other one, and I'm only taking one wire off there because I've broken the link, and we've got 57.2. And this means that the element is a dual element, which is 2200 watts thereabouts, and it's 1100 watts each circuit. Now, we're going to do some other tests now, because if the elements are testing good, but the oven is not heating, we may have a supply problem to the element. This means we may have a fault with either the thermostat, the timer, the selector switch, or on more modern cookers today, you may have a problem with the printed circuit board. Okay, if you do need any elements for your cooker, by the way, the link is in the description on the video, but make sure you use your full model number when identifying the element for your cooker. That's very important. Now, the next test we're going to do is basically testing power supplies getting to any one of the elements. And this is a live test, so you should only do this if you're competent or qualified with electrics. If you're not, you will need to get someone in to do this for you. But basically, plugging the cooker in, turning the power supply on. I'm going to turn my multimeter to 240 volts. I'm now going to set the cooker to manual, and the first element we'll test is the fan oven element. Now, I've just turned the selector switch on, and if I come across to the voltage on here, there will be no voltage at all, which you can see. But if I turn the thermostat on and go across these two terminals again, you can see that you've got voltage. Also, with the test meter, you can see on the wall there, we're drawing just on 2 kilowatt of power. That's 1800 watts for the fan oven element, plus the fan motor and possibly the light inside. Turning that off and giving you a different test. If you were testing the conventional oven, the fan would not be running, but it'd be using the base element and part of the grill element. Most cookers never use all the grill element unless they're a single circuit. Now, if I turn that to the correct setting and I just do a test on the base element, as you can see, no power. But when I turn the thermostat on, you'll notice on here we're drawing 2,300 watts of power. We are pulling 240 volts on the base element. On the outer part of the element, we have a reading of 240 volts, but on the inner part of the element, there is no voltage present. This is because the conventional oven only uses part of the grill element with the base element. Again, if you wanted to test the grill, you would be testing both of the circuits, and the grill should be working if you have controls for a full grill. And then on some cookers, you have the choice of a full grill or just the inner grill, and that means the outer circuit wouldn't be working, but the inner circuit would be working. Now, the only other tests I can briefly show you in this video is if you have a problem where there is no power going to the elements, the most common culprit to go wrong is the selector switch. I have done many videos on selector switches showing you how to test them, and also I've done some other videos showing you how they're made as well, and common problems that occur with selector switches. You must remember always, and the manufacturers don't print this in their manuals, which is a bit crazy. Basically, a selector switch should never be turned on when the thermostat is active. In other words, when you first turn the cooker on, you should select the program for the selector switch, then turn the thermostat on. If you want to change the way you're cooking from fan oven to grilling now, you would turn the thermostat off, then turn the selector switch to the required program, then turn the thermostat back on. So these are the most common things to go wrong. Thermostats don't really often go wrong, but on more modern cookers today with electronic circuit boards, they are being controlled by relays, not conventional thermostats with capillary tubes. Conventional thermostats can easily be tested, and all you need to do to test a conventional thermostat if it's operational. This doesn't mean it's actually turning off at the correct temperature, it just means it's actually working. Take one of the wires off the thermostat, just making sure, for safety, completely unplugging the machine, and going across the thermostat, we have no continuity when it's off, but when we turn it on, we have continuity. This means that the points are opening and shutting correctly. The other fault that can occur with some cookers as well is the relay on the timer can become faulty. This relay is only there for timed cooking purposes, but if the relay became faulty, the oven normally wouldn't work when the cooker was just in manual. It would still have a problem because the relay has to be closed to allow power to go to the selector switch and thermostat. And there we go. I hope this video assisted you in diagnosing the problem with the cooker. I've put a link to the specific cooker that I was talking about, which the customer sent the email in. If you do need any help with any other Beko cookers, feel free to send us an email, and if you can't find the web page on the website, I'll create one for you. Thanks very much indeed for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, as that's what keeps us going and able to make these videos for you. Thanks very much indeed for watching.